Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, with us, Dan Blanchard, a best-selling and award-winning author, speaker, and educator, is going to be having a very productive conversation with Thomas Fox. He is a solutionist, public speaker, and advisor. But before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world. You can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is going to benefit of the content that's going to be shared here today. We also want you to collaborate with Mindalia, bringing us your own valuable content. And for that, you can go to our website. On the top, you're going to find a link. It says Collaborate with Mindalia. That link is going to take you to a form that you can fill out, and our technical team will be getting in contact with you. You can collaborate with us in English through Mindalia TV English, as you already know. You can also do it in Portuguese through Mindalia Televisao and in Spanish through Mindalia Televisión. We have 3 channels. Visit us, subscribe to all of them, and visit our Facebook pages and Instagram accounts. Doing that, you not only help us reach as much people in the planet as possible, but you also keep yourself updated with the wonderful information that is being posted there on a daily basis. We don't want to delay this any further, and I'm going to have now the pleasure to leave you with our dear Dan Blanchard and with Thom Fox. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Oh, thank you, Mirna. So it's wonderful to be on this show again, and we got a pretty great guy with us, Thom Fox. Thom, how are you?
Good. How you doing tonight, Danny?
Cool, Thom. It seems like you've pretty much have done like everything. I've known you for quite, a few years now, and it seems like you've done so many things. I can't wait for our audience to hear the show and what you have to share with them. I mean, going back to the age of 26, even. I mean, the young 26. You helped start the social enterprise startup where they were running $50 million a year. I mean, that's amazing what you did. And jumping forward a little bit, I can think back to 2013. You were the founder of the strategic consultancy. Another pretty cool thing where I believe you guys went on, you discovered, did like a lot of research and discovered what was it that people wanted. And then you're not just a business guy, but you're also a guy that gives back, out to my own dear heart. You've chaired nonprofits, mentoring. You had that Engine radio show that you host that I was on a couple of years ago. And you're also the advisor to Unify Against Bullying. I myself as a school teacher, I'm big time on that. And you just told me something about a board square one where you support kids that need extra help. And some of them have parents in prison or whatever else the circumstances are. You help them out. And it just doesn't stop to time. It seems like it never stops what you do. Now you're speaking about appropriate workplace behaviors, which I think is huge. Myself being a school teacher, my students need to know how to behave in the workplace to, have a productive career. And then you're even like you don't have enough to do. You're even doing entrepreneurship / let's change the paradigm to leadership within the entrepreneurial, umbrella or system or whatever. And Thom, I'm probably just scratching the surface on the things that you do and the man that you are. So maybe you could kind of fill in a few gaps of anything I might have missed that the audience may find relevant. Or just how have you been? It says crazy busy.
No, things have been good. And thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it. I think you kind of hit all the points. I guess one thing I'd share, in the strategic consultancy, I guess I'd say live action kind of research. It was more so customer development. And that was essentially going out and talking to 100 or 200, maybe even 500 customers and understanding what is it that they really want? What is it that they don't want? What do they want to avoid? And then how much are they willing to pay for it? Because we had a captive audience, we would do like one-on-one interviews. I also had the benefit of, digging into what do you do? Tell me what your life is like online. Tell me about what TV programs you watch. Where are you? So by this way, I'm able to build a more robust understanding of who really is our customer, because not everybody's your customer.
True.
Some people aren't. That's okay.
Yeah. True.
That is actually the cardinal sin of entrepreneurship. When we sit down with a new entrepreneur, we say, who's your customer?
No doubt.
They go, everybody. And we're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, we don't even want to talk to those people because they just it's got to be laser focused.
Yeah, they don't
Because you
get
can't
it
be
yet,
good
right,
at
Thom?
all things. I'm sorry?
Yeah, they don't get it quite yet.
Yeah, and they want to listen like anybody else that goes on a job interview. The first, what is something you're not good at? Oh, I overwork. I work so hard. I work 1,000,000 hours a day. Everyone wants to sell themselves, and this, entrepreneur wants to sell their business. Everybody's my customer because it's
Yeah.
enticing. But what's more enticing is if you do your homework and you're really able to focus in on where am I going to do great? What's my superpower? How do I apply it? And
No
the same
doubt.
thing in behavior and in life in and of itself.
Yeah. And Thom, as you know, I'm the Connecticut president of the Association of Publishers for Special Sales. And there, I oversee a bunch of Connecticut authors and publishers. And they say the same thing all the time. Almost all new authors say the same thing. Who's your book for? And they're like, everybody or almost everybody. It's like they just really haven't nailed their niche down. And then what they start doing, and you probably see this in your end too, but what authors start doing is they write a book and then they go try to find the customers after. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the biggest downfalls of authors. I mean, I did it too. We all do it, especially when we're on that learning curve. So I love this thing that you're doing was let's find out what our customers want first. I think that's great that you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I say this, and probably as an educator, you can appreciate this. A lot of it's driven off open-ended questions, not leading anybody in a certain direction. So I guess what we say to an entrepreneur is now is the time for someone to call your baby ugly and let him do it. Hey, your business sucks. This is not going to work. Awesome. Let's learn about that now. That's kind of where the methodology was born. It was a gentleman named Steve Blank, and I think it was 2004. He built the first international structure for delivering groceries to people's houses.
Yep.
He built it. He got a whole railway trucking system up. 6 months later, it crashed.
Oh.
And he goes, I wonder why. And he goes, you know why? Because I never asked anybody if they wanted it.
Yeah.
A couple of years down the road, that business model exploded. But at that time,
it was ahead of the curve.
Yeah. So he made that methodology. Let me go out. Let me talk to customers. Rule number one, get out of the office. Not going to learn anything in the office.
Yep.
Talk to the customers. And then he has a similar philosophy. No plan survives first contact with customer.
Yeah,
you may think what you build is perfect. I'm sorry?
What does that mean? Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, and it's the same thing I ran into when I authored one of my first books. It was a finance guide. I thought it was perfect. And I went out, and my editor goes, "Oh, this is horrible." And you're like, "What do you mean?" And I mean,
come on,
it's as red as my tie when it comes back to me because it's edited to all get out, And I'm like,
yeah.
But the important thing to realize is, and the same thing with entrepreneurship, I built something good. My obligation is to launch it, to measure it, and what gets measured gets managed. And then I can iterate, I can pivot, I can do things with it. And the same thing with a book. I think I got it where I needed to be. Now I hand it off to an editor. And they're going to go, okay, some structural stuff needs to change, whatever it may be. But every time you do it, you make it stronger.
Absolutely. And I know that's one of the best things I did, Thom, as an author and later as the president of the Association of Publishers for Special Sales. One of the best things I did was hand my book off to editors and have lengthy conversations. I remember, Thom, there was one book, I thought it was done. I handed it out to an editor. We spent the next year talking about every single paragraph. Like what is the best way to say this paragraph? You know what I'm saying? And it took me another year to get that book out. But boy, when the book came out, it was great because I handed it off. So now jump into something else. I laughed at a story you told me about earlier. And it kind of reminds me, your editor saying the book is terrible. I had editors, book cover consultants that have done the same thing to me, say it's terrible. But you say one of your buddies, he uses that as his technique. He has like a son that has autism and kind of speaks his mind.
So yeah,
it's like a technique he uses.
Well, not necessarily a technique, but I volunteer at Valley Venture Mentors, and they offer mentorship for early stage entrepreneurs. And as part of that, we are facilitators of a group of mentors. So think about putting a bunch of high energy entrepreneurs in a room. Someone has to herd those cats.
Oh,
That
yeah.
would be our job.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the mentors had a son, and the startup was a startup that dealt with helping people on the spectrum. So, but what better way to learn than, they had a theory, they were a counselor, they had the acumen, let's say, so to speak.
Yep.
But he brought his son, who has autism, to the sessions. So this way she could talk about, here's what I'm thinking about building. And the kid would give like real-time feedback. And it was just awesome to have your ideal customer. Again,
Mm-hmm.
it's not for everybody.
Yep.
This startup's going to help people that are on the autistic spectrum and blah, 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 blah. And to have that kid right there in front of them was like, it was just life-changing for them, because it's basically building in a lab, and the kid's going, that sucks. It's not going to work. And she's like, what do you mean? But you want to hear that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are times in life. So I guess I'd say two things. Old mentor of mine, people give you two types of advice in this world. They give you information that's good for them, or they give you information that's good for you. You got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Sometimes big people give you information that's good for them by avoiding. What I mean by that is they don't tell you your baby's ugly when they
Mm-hmm.
should.
Yeah.
If you're actually trying to help somebody out, sometimes you have to have those difficult conversations with them.
No doubt.
But I guess and the way I say it in some of my workshops, don't hit them with a sledgehammer, hit them with a velvet sledgehammer. You've got to make it stick, but you don't need to crash in their chest cavity.
Or maybe a fly swatter, right?
Well, no. So some people are, especially entrepreneurs, they built this, they love this. You have to make sure they get the point directly. Your business isn't going to scale. Or the idea, no one wants to buy a buggy whip anymore. You know what I mean? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because you're being disingenuous then to that individual.
And you're saving them a lot of pain down the road, Thom, if you're being honest.
Yes, you think you're helping them by saying, I'm not going to tell them. You're not. It all comes down to your delivery. And one of our facilitators there was a gentleman named Paul Silva, and he would say, when you give people feedback, make it lovingly critical. You don't have to savage somebody.
Yeah, I like that.
You can just have so if I was dealing with a young kid who was maybe acting out, well, Jimmy, what do you think that behavior tells to people around us about you? What do you think that says about our family? Now, now it's like, what do you mean? Oh, is this do you see anybody else doing this kind of behavior? No, I don't. So it's, you know what I mean? It's
you get them to think about it without disciplining them. It's kind of like in education, we call it discipline with dignity. So, some sort of like that. You're not crushing them, embarrassing them, nothing like that. And that's like what good leaders do. Good leaders, good managers, good classroom teachers, good coaches, good parents, but it all comes down to leadership. And Thom, you told me you're doing something with entrepreneurs, trying to change the paradigm to leadership. Like, what is,
yes.
I totally agree with that, but can you fill us in a little bit on that?
Sure. So the last few years, pardon me, I was the chief people officer of a behavioral leadership institute. So what we would do is use behavior as the impetus for change inside of an organization. So I'd help a CEO understand how his or her personality and behavior directly affects everyone around them, by also helping them understand those behaviors of everyone around them. Mm-hmm. So we'd measure all that, and then we put the data in front of people. And what you often see is there's really fast people. I get annoyed with the really slow people. But the really slow people actually help out the really fast people in ways that these people don't stop and appreciate, because they're moving too damn fast.
Yep, true.
So I was doing a workshop the other day at 125 salespeople. I said, just show of hands, anybody here ever had paperwork sent back to them for not being complete? They're like, all the hands, yes. Yeah. Because your superpower is moving on to the next thing. That means you don't dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yes.
The methodical people, they're dotting the I's and crossing the T's because that's important, especially if we have a contract. If I get all that stuff wrong, so it's by understanding those things. What am I really good at? What do I suck at? And what do I really need to surround myself with? Entrepreneurs have a unique kind of issue in the sense where, I use the analogy of the baby. They birthed this business. True. It is their vision. It's everything. but then you have to let people in to help grow. And it's not their business. So you want everybody to be out work at 5 o'clock in the morning and work till 10 o'clock at night because
it ain't happening.
You would. It's not their business. You also have to be able to understand what made you successful could now also be your kryptonite. So if I'm a high energy entrepreneur, always willing to chase everybody down, and I've got bravado, and I'm an 800-pound gorilla.
Yep.
Do I allow my people to challenge me? Do I allow people to tell me that my baby's ugly? I don't. Yep. So now the things that made you successful, now all of a sudden add to your downfall. So we really try entrepreneurs to help understand is, this is what made you a great entrepreneur. Here's what's going to make you a great leader. It's by being a little more vulnerable. It's by understanding that you may want the bar to be up here, but your people's job isn't to be there in a second. Your job as a leader is to help guide them there. How do you create those conditions for their success?
Yep.
And that's a struggle for entrepreneurs because
no doubt.
Do it my way. This is my thing. This is no one likes being lorded over.
You always got to keep learning. You always got to keep learning because at some point your success is going to stop because doing what you did got you to where you are, but it's not going to get you to where you want to go. So you got to learn new skills such as the leadership skills you're talking about, Thom.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've been amazing. I mean, I don't know how you find the time to do the things you do. You've come so far. I mean, we both have. We both have come really, really far. I mean, like what has been your driving force? How do you just keep managing to just get up every day and keep going and keep succeeding?
Guess I'd say that's a bit of a loaded question. I guess I put it this way. I manage depression. So it's not the easiest getting up in the morning and trying to do that daily slog. I guess what I say is I look back to the story of the Chinese farmer. Are you familiar with the story of the Chinese farmer?
Right now, it's not ringing a bell, but tell me about it. Maybe it will.
I'll keep it succinct. So Chinese farmer got a prize horse. Horse runs away, and the neighbor comes over. And the neighbor goes, "Oh, it's horrible," and he says, "Who's to say it was good or bad?"
Yes.
So the next day, horse comes back, brings 10 other horses with it. So the neighbor comes over, goes, "Oh my God, that's amazing." He goes, "Who's to say what's good or bad?"
Yeah.
Next day, son's riding a horse. Son gets thrown off the horse, breaks his leg. Same thing. Neighbor comes over. Who's to say what's good or bad? And then eventually, the last part of the story, the next day, the Chinese army comes through and they are recruiting every able-bodied young man, and they can't take his son because he has a broken leg. Who's to say what's good or bad?
That's right. I do know
when we look at each instance, it's easy to magnify that to the nth degree because we're going through it at the moment. But if we look at over a timeline of life, it all kind of balances it out. The good, the bad, and everything else. But you have to look at it in a longer term. And I guess that would be for me what keeps it going, because when there's a bad day, it's a bad day. I've had 17,853 days, I think, till right now. Some of them have been good, some have been bad.
Yeah.
But I'm still here. I'm still doing good stuff in the world. So overall, all works out in the end.
Yeah. It's funny, Thom, because I got my own little version of that. Like I keep so busy, like you. I do like one thing after another, like all day long. And at the end of the day, somebody would say, "Well, how was your day?" Like on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest. How was your day? And I'd say, I don't know, maybe it was a 7, 8, whatever, particular hard day, 9, whatever, right? But what happens is, because I did so many things, I didn't sit there and dwell on what went right and what went wrong on certain things. So some things that might have been like a 5 ended up being like a 2. And at the end of the day, they all added up. Math isn't perfect, but they all end up being like a 7, 8, 9, whatever it is. And then I've had these other days where, I don't know, things got canceled, things didn't work out. And during that day, I only had like one major thing to do. And I sat around sometimes waiting to go do it. Maybe it was just to get up on stage and give a speech. That's all I had to do that day. Nothing else. Just that one thing. So very, very easy day, right? That speech probably would have been about a 3 or 4, right? Because it was the only thing I did that whole day, and I was thinking about it for a while, thinking about it after. I'm driving home that night going, yeah, this day was about a 7 or an 8, because that's what it was. The speech was like a 7 or an 8. But if I keep really busy, the speech is like a 2, 3, 4 on a degree of difficulty. And then it all adds up. So I totally agree with what you're saying. It all kind of just works its way out to be about the same. I like that.
The challenge being human beings from a psychological perspective, we're horrible at trying to estimate time. So we try to put a time limit on everything, how much a good thing's going to last us for, or how much the magnitude of a negative aspect. Oh, I didn't get that job I was looking for.
Yep.
But what if you didn't get that job and it was the best thing that happened to you because it was a toxic? I mean, it's, understanding that there are still potential negative consequences from good things that happen and vice versa.
True.
So even the best of days could ultimately have some aspect which could go sideways. Yeah. So it all does work out in the end, no matter what. So I guess tune in tomorrow to see what happens. I guess would be the best way to say, get up every morning.
Yeah, don't let your feathers get ruffled, right?
No, I mean, certain things are going to suck. I mean, that's just life. I mean, what is your capacity? I guess I'd say for someone like myself, my biggest struggle or what I'd like to do more of, or what I've done a lot of in the past is about how do I take that negativity and then forward it into something productive?
Yes.
So,
mm-hmm.
that can sometimes be a challenge when you're going through it. But even when I'm going through adversity, I'll make notes and I'll be like, because I'm dealing with this struggle right now, I wonder how, I'm an educator at heart. I build training programs, How could I take this situation I'm going through right now and turn it into something that could help someone who's going to be going through this next?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There was a TEDx I did for a couple of years ago. It's called How to Walk Through Hell with a Smile on Your Face. And it was essentially that methodology, like it's Winston Churchill, right? If you're going through hell, keep walking. You're like, don't just stop.
Yeah, don't stop. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yep.
So keep going. And what can we do then how can I help somebody else avoid this? I mean, the work with kids, the work that you do as well, it's in many respects not trying to rob anybody of an experience, but more so giving them more options for them to think about as they enter that experience. Because I would have loved more information at some stupid stuff that I did. If someone just set me down and said, hey, Thom, if you do this, this, and this, it's going to play out like this. I'd be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're like, that's not good.
No, but sometimes I would have loved to have that beforehand, so.
Yeah, would have been good.
Yeah. So I think, the work that you do, in that respect too, how do we, I guess, empower people with information so they can make more informed choices? I
like that. And I agree with you, Thom. I mean, every one of us are going to have bad days, bad moments, maybe bad weeks. You know what I'm saying? And going and doing something that helps somebody else is usually like good self-therapy, and it makes the world a better place. For some people, they go and they write a book. Some people go and create a course. Some people go and join a nonprofit or start a nonprofit or start like a radio show like The Engine. You know what I'm saying? Like you try to give something back to help somebody else, and it takes your focus off of yourself and puts it on somebody else, making things clear in the path for them to be leaders or have a better quality of life, whatever. It takes the focus off yourself, helps you get away from your depression or you're feeling down or your bad day or whatever it is. And could that be some of the reasons why you do some of the things you do? And you do a bunch of things to give back.
Yeah, I had to. So as part of my work when I was at Leadership Institute, I had to build what's called a personal user manual. It's something we worked with the executives at Xerox on. So every president that they have has to make a personal user manual about how they interact with the world, how they communicate, and so on like that. As a result, you have to take a deep dive within yourself. So I had to do that whole process as well. One of the things I identified was, I think to some capacity, I use that to manage depression. The same thing as I use workouts. I use workout to manage depression, the brain science behind it, creating the endorphins and things like that.
Yep.
Same thing, but doing good. You know, to some effect, to what you said as well too. My other challenge is I'm a creative thinker, so I really need my attention somewhere else because I will. What really makes me a good strategist is I'll beat up a problem a million ways inside of a minute.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my brain is on fire. It's built to solve problems. The challenges with depression is it's a nut you can't really crack in many respects. So it would just keep going and going. But if you put me in front of an audience, that's an hour to. I mean, I would do 10-hour workshops inside of corporations. That's
Yeah.
10 hours I'm on, and I'm not thinking about anything. That's
Yeah.
that's such a
amazing.
tremendous gift when you're in that kind of situation. It's just like,
True.
oh. So
Yeah.
I love that aspect of it. So yeah, in many respects, I give back because I shared with you earlier. I read on this one's a little so I guess I'd say this is selfish, but I shared it before. I am a high energy individual. I suffer from
Yep.
impatience.
Yep.
But I go in and I read to kids that are pre-K on Friday mornings
Yeah.
to help me deal
Cool.
with my impatience because if you ask them how their day is, they'll tell you purple. And you can't argue with that because that's their day.
Doesn't work too well.
No, not with a 3 and 4 year old. How's your day? Purple. Okay, we're gonna have to go with that. So
Yeah.
it's part improv, part stress reduction, but it's just a great escape for a half hour. I'm just sitting there reading the kids.
Yeah. Which is really cool. I'm so glad
That's
you
fun.
do that. I wish more people would do that. So
They do
yeah.
this. We got a good business community around here. We get a fair amount of people that come in, so I'm thankful for that. My community here in Western Mass, we got good folks.
Wow, that's cool, man. Very cool. I wish more places did that. So now, Thom, I mean, me and you come from rough beginnings. What advice do you have from somebody who maybe is going through rough times? You know, they're young, they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They don't know what they're going to maybe do with their lives. They don't know if they can contribute anyway. I mean, what do you say to this person to kind of keep them going?
Find someone who generally wants to invest in you.
Mm.
So for myself, I had 3 suicide attempts in my life. I was very, I guess what I'd say is an ambivert in many respects. Oh no, an introvert. Now I'm an ambivert. It can be extrovert and so on.
Yep.
But I kept all of it inside. I thought no one wanted to hear that I was struggling or that I had challenges. No one gave a crap. But there are people that did. If I would have brought them in the loop sooner,
Yep.
perhaps I would have been better off for it. So I would say, don't ever discount that the world doesn't want to hear from you. The world does.
I so agree.
And maybe you might not get it right the first 2-3 times, but at the end of the day, choose people that choose you. Find people that really want to invest in you.
Nice.
And you go, you know what? Because they're going to push you to greater heights than that.
Yeah.
You know this as an educator. You can see something in somebody that they can't access yet.
Yep. True.
And how do you get that out of them? Particularly, let's say in an instance like mine, where the timing wasn't really all that good. So we got someone with talent, very misguided. How do I get in there and get that out of them? And you need somebody who really wants to invest in you because it's time consuming. It really is.
Yeah. Someone to build that relationship with, right?
And build trust. In that instance, let's say, in my upbringing, perhaps in yours, trust was degraded to a fair degree with people in my immediate life. So having someone to earn that trust who wasn't in family or anything like that is, especially after people have, stolen trust from you, is very difficult, but it is a very good exercise in vulnerability.
I agree. So Thom, you've come 1,000 miles since your beginnings. What are you looking at for the future? What does the future hold for Thom Fox?
So I started writing something that probably I should have wrote a long time ago, but I didn't know how to approach it. And I had a recent kind of epiphany on, I think, a way I could approach. I wrote a lot of books about money, and my latest, I wrote a guide about behavior and leadership. But this is a book more so about what goes on in the mind of a depressed individual. You
Wow,
know,
okay.
the challenges
Hmm.
are broken down by the top 11 challenges I face. So each
Yeah.
chapter is a challenge, or at least that's how it's framing out right now. Each chapter is, and again, like we talked about an editor, I'll bring it to an editor and they'll go, "Oh my God, this is horrible," and you have to this whole thing over again. But that's at least a journey I'm plotting out right
Cool. I think that's awesome. Yeah. I gotta tell you, I got a friend who suffers with depression, and he so amazes me. You know, there he is. He's suffering depression, and he walked up to like a star, and he said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you." And the star said, "All right." And he goes, "As a matter of fact, I'd like to write a book on you." And the star went, "All right." And there he was, freaking got a bestseller, you know,
now.
from writing about this particular person. And I was just like, wow. I'm like, that's amazing, you know? And I'm like, and here
Yeah.
this guy, he tells me he suffers from depression, but yet he was still able to do that. And I'm like, I don't think I could do that. Just walk up to a star and strike a conversation, say, I want to write a book on you, and for them to say, okay, and then have a bestseller, you know, like within 6 months. I mean, that's amazing that this person was able to do that. So, you know, my hat goes off to all people out there, especially people that, let's say, are carrying a little bit more weight on their shoulders, and they go out there and they still make it happen. You know, that's amazing. I'm so impressed with,
There's a lot of good people out there.
yeah, no doubt. So I know, Tom, we're going to be getting ready to wrap up soon. Me and I will be back in a minute. Just wanted to, anything else you want to talk about? Anything I didn't ask you? Maybe I should have.
No, I guess, like I said, I appreciate, a while ago we met ages ago, and Speakers Club, I think, over in Connecticut, we went to a few times too, and then I had you on
Oh,
my radio
yes,
show.
that's
We
right.
recently had I think it's 5 years now, I was doing the show. So that's
Cool.
been an interesting journey in and of itself. So yeah, we're if I could just plug it, people can always look ThomFox.com, THOMFOX.com. I put in all the podcasts, and that's just a variety of interviews with entrepreneurs, legislators, leaders.
Hmm.
What's going on not only just in our little world here in Western Mass, but also on a global scale. We have startups from around the globe on. So it's just fun, good conversation.
Cool. Cool. And maybe someday I'll be a guest again on your show.
I'm always looking for guests. Yes, people come on and share their stories. That's what this whole TV program network's about. People come on, share knowledge, get it
Yeah,
out there to the world.
absolutely.
Hey,
It's
you
like
might
a
as well
TED Talk.
share it.
TED Talk. You share great ideas, you share knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It's like a mini modified TED Talk. So it looks like Mira's ready to come back on to
Yeah.
close up the show. Welcome back, Mira.
Hello.
I'm right here. I never left you guys. And right behind the screen.
Oh, thank goodness.
So Tom already told us how we can find him. How about you then? How can our audience find you?
Yeah, they just Google Dan Blanchard, author, speaker, educator, whatever. DanBlanchard.net, granddaddySecrets.com, all over social media, any one of them. Check me out, and check me out on Amazon too. Check out my book, The Storm, and there's a whole bunch of others as well. Thank you, Mira.
Thank you. Guys, again, thank you for allowing us being a channel for your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with us, with the Mindalia TV audience. To the wonderful audience, we also want to thank you for being with us every day. And we want to remind you that you can see us also in Portuguese through Mindalia Televisão and in Spanish through Mindalia Televisión, and that you can also collaborate with us with your own valuable content. You just have to go to the website, and on the top, you're going to find a link that says collaborate with Mindalia. Thank you again. Don't leave without subscribing, without liking our channel. Thank you to Tom and to Dan for being with us. Sending everyone a great big hug, and until next time.
Thank you.